Hi, and welcome everybody back to the first intuitive guidance with Justin and Tor for 2026. Justin and I last year did plenty of sessions together where we used the tarot as a way to bring forward teachings and messages for the collective this moment. Justin and I both identify as gay men, so occasionally we have focused our teachings towards the LGBTQ plus community, specifically gay, queer people who identify as men who are interested in men. And for today's session, we thought that we would pull two tarot cards each, bring forth some teachings for 2026. Before we came on, Justin read me a beautiful verse from the Gospel of Thomas, which is what's in many ways inspired today's session, I think, and guided us in the direction that we are going. Just before we head into all of that, Justin, what do you think 2026 has taught you so far?
My goodness. I think if we look at it, the card for the collective this year is a 10, which we know then is the Wheel of Fortune card in the major arcana. And I'll tell you, for me, the wheel's moving. That's the way I would describe 2026 so far, is there's a lot of motion, a lot of things that
Mm.
may have even been stuck or may not have appeared yet that have just kind of come out in full force, it seems, from January 1 to today, which is the 29th of January as we record this.
Mm. The wheel. Yeah, okay, interesting. And actually my card I didn't tell you about this. I had a numerology reading for the first time, like an in-depth one,
Oh,
uh,
fun.
like a week and a half ago. Yeah, very fun. My number is number one. No surprise there. What is your number?
My universal number from my birth date is a 4.
Okay, right. Do you know what that means?
I do.
What does it
Do
mean?
in some ways. And then I would associate it too with the tarot. So the 4 is the emperor. So for me, one of my big life
Mm.
lessons is to have a sense of, I don't want to say control over myself, but to utilize that wisdom in an empowering way, not just for me, but the people that I won't say rule over, but that I encounter and bring into my life. There's a
Well, see, my
leadership.
num.
There's a
Mm.
leadership thing. Yeah, of
I love that. Yeah, because my cards, because I am special, so I have two cards.
course you do.
Being number one, it is the magician, but it's also the Wheel of Fortune,
Hmm. Yep.
which I thought was interesting. Yes, my life path number is number one, which is from my birthday, and from my name, it's number nine. So I have one and nine.
Yep. So the Hermit and the Wheel of Fortune slash Magician. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that fits my character so well.
Mhm. Yeah. But isn't that beautiful that you can see that alignment rather than be puzzled by it, which means there's things to do to get into that kind of alignment. Not that that's bad, it's just kind of beautiful that
Mm,
you're already aware of a lot of those things of yourself.
yeah, I'm so like, because obviously, like being a Leo, the magician, the wheel of fortune. I don't know. I feel like that has quite a Leo energy to it, but then I also have the Aquarius energy, which arguably I think is a bit more like the hermit in a way, a bit quirky, a bit weird. And so, yeah, I think it fits super well.
You're totally weird in a good way.
Totally
I
weird
mean,
in a good way.
yeah, queer means weird too, so we'll just embrace all of it. But I think to me, like what's beautiful about that combination for you and knowing you is there is a mind and a heart and a soul that you have for the collective. It's not just about you. And that
Mm.
lead quality could be very, very selfish on the shadow side of it.
Yeah, I was talking to the numerologist how during my sort of late teens, early 20s, it was probably the shadow of my number one was stronger,
Yeah.
is how I would put it. Yeah, that
Good
is
way to put it. Yeah. And for me, I could look at ways that I allowed others to be the emperor of my life, if you want to look at it in a fun way like that. And so it's not until, these last decades really, and it's work every day, that I've seen that authority and taken hold of that authority for myself, not over others, but over.
Mm, mm, great. So I think we should head into the readings. I'll pull
Perfect.
two cards and you'll pull two cards, and then we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Do you want to go first? Because
Teachings.
the way I like to do it is to have you pick the two cards that are coming from the deck that I'm holding.
I will pull two cards. I'm just going
Cool.
to do that from the top. Okay, do you want to start shuffling or pulling cards out?
Yep, let me shuffle and then I'll have you pick our two cards and tell me if either of them are reversed as you do. Hold on.
They're
Shuffle.
both upright.
Okay. I love that strong intuitive hit. And that's a good reminder too for everyone who's like watching or listening is like intuition operates that way. You notice
Mm,
how I'll say it in a good way. Like Tor didn't really think about it, he just knew.
mm.
It doesn't have to be this like long process of where's my intuition? How do I get in touch with it? You kind of just know.
You kind of just know.
Yeah. We might not want to know sometimes, but okay, so I am ready. So tell me when to stop twice for the two
Sure.
cards that the gays need for 2026 teachings for the year. Here we go. Tell me when.
Stop and stop. So I think they're both right after each other.
Great. Love it. All right. I have my two cards. You have the two that you pulled. Do you want to reveal one of yours first, and then I'll reveal one?
Ooh, nice. I like this. So the first card that I have pulled is the Hierophant, the Pope upright.
Yeah.
That's a great card. Um, I think, what does that tell us? What is the teaching there for 2026 for the gays, the queers, and everybody else who fits into that basket?
Yes.
Um, I love the ways in which that my card looks in terms of the Pope, because as you can see back, there's a shooting star, there's like incense, there's smoke, there's a head there, there's a head there, and it is a quote unquote religious or spiritual card, right? It is not, I don't know, the Emperor. I suppose the Emperor might have a spiritual essence, but this is a much more, although it still carries that Emperor energy in a way of like structure, command, discipline, being that sort of priest kind of figure. But at the same time, as you can see in the background, there's like a portal and there's like stars, and you're sort of looking into the cosmos. And I think that what that tells me about this is that yes, it still has that commanding, structured energy of the Emperor. It is also much more connected with the divine and listening to that feeling of the divine, and also able to bring forth the messages from the divine, which is what we are doing today. And I think that for those gays out there who are interested in spiritual development, intuitive development, I love what you just said about intuition. I think that this year there is an invitation for the gays to, I mean, this is a bit spiritually trite to say this coming from a tarot reader who's gay, who's also into spirituality, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think there is a strong in the invitation there to become more structured about the ways in which that they tap into their own sense of spirituality. I think that's really important. I think it is a year of um, perhaps finding a teacher, a mentor, a coach, which can help them bring forward that more spiritual essence within them, but yet in a structured way, because it still has a masculine energy to it, I guess, in a way, still. And talking about gays, men, I suppose that still fits. Although there is a man and a woman here, so I think there's also something about a healthy balance between that feminine and masculine energy. I think there's also, the flip side of it is that, sometimes those structures that come with a pope is also unhelpful, right? Because it's like social norms that we've been sticking to and sort of flipping everything on its head. I think that 2026 will also be an invitation to perhaps reconfigure or breaking down some of the social norms that are still sort of sticking. What can we break away? What can we transform in that respect? What do you think?
I think you're spot on, and it's interesting that the Gospel of Thomas came up because one of the
Yeah.
controversial parts of that book is, and I'm not going to phrase it exactly like it's translated into English, but Jesus basically says in that book that you are God. And so we don't necessarily need a conduit, a channel, a priest as an intermediary between what the divine has given us, is telling us through intuition and other means, like even the tarot can be. We are that channel. And it's not from a prideful place. It's not from an elevated place either. It's a universal one. And I think the shadow side would be being careful of the teachers that you do break in or the structures you cling to, and are they
Mm.
serving you, or is there something more? And on the positive side, absolutely, it's channeling, realizing you are a channel in a deeper way in 2026, and utilizing that knowledge that's coming through you to help others and to help yourself. Our friend Rio Allen, who's been on here, has, in his channel, he emphasizes gay gifts. And so if you're not sure what yours is, you absolutely have one as a gay person, gay man, if we're being specific. And so it's tapping into that, finding out what it is, and then really sharing that with the world. We need it now more than ever. And that's
Mm.
the call that this Hierophant card, the Pope card, is really giving us, which is awesome.
Mm. And that's such a beautiful reminder that you are God and that you are the channel. And I think that speaks to, the responsibility that we have in terms of how we show up in the world and the kind of energy that we want to bring into the world, right? Um, I think that people perhaps may not take that seriously enough, the kind of impact they actually can have on the world if they choose to tap more into, especially, you're in America. Um, Excuse my friends, but shit is literally hitting the fan, right? In all kinds of ways, and it's spreading everywhere. And so I think that 2026 will then really encourage us to think about, yeah, how are we, what is the energy that we are going to collectively as gay men channel into this earthly realm in 2026?
Right. And are
You know?
we are we are we part of carrying forward that hate in some way by turning the hate toward those who are being oppressive to, so-called immigrants or demonstrators or whatever it is? We could pick that
Mm,
topic and others. Or like our trans friends who are still under horrible persecution, not just in the United States, but all over the world, a subject
mm,
that doesn't get, front page headlines because it's not sexy,
mm,
etc. And instead of waddling in the woe is us and the world sucks and this person's bad and this person's whatever, how can we elevate from that? Recognizing it, being even, righteously angry about it, but then channeling it in a proper way. That's, I think, what the Hierophant is here to do. That word channel keeps coming up for me when I think of the card.
yeah, I think that is absolutely correct. And I haven't interpreted Hierophant the Pope in that way, and I think that has a strong sort of resonance to it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your first card?
My first card is, the Empress.
Mm.
What a lovely companion, as it were, for the Hierophant. It's, related to Venus and beauty, Mother Earth, nature, creativity, that feminine version of power, we could say, and coupled with that channeling quality and the link to the divine that the Hierophant has, I think that makes a lot of sense. gaze and beauty kind of go together anyway in a topical, dare I say, superficial way, but I think it can go deeper. I know it goes deeper, and I think that's the thing to what is the real beauty we have being called and tapped and to be gay men in particular, but all the LGBTQ plus friends, to be queer on this earth. We're special in a way that, people look to us, whether they think we're odd or they think we're special or whatever language they give us. What is that gift that we can emphasize through beauty, whether it's the beauty of our presentation of ourself, our spirit, for sure it has to be that, our creative work, whether we're artists by title and our day jobs or whether we do it in private, what more can we share the world? How much more can we share our beauty with the world?
And again, I think it is, absolutely. And also, I think it's about then focusing on creating beauty in the world that has a positive impact on the people around us. You
Yeah,
know,
very much so.
I think that's a very lovely companion for that one. So my second card is the Knight of Pentacles. On my card, this person is standing there. There's a field behind her. There's a sort of tree in the background. She's got her shield and she's looking into the horizon. What I like about this card, though, compared to the Knight of Cups on my deck, for example, is that she doesn't have a helmet on, which I think makes her um, more unafraid. She is wearing armor, but she's got her head revealed. And I think that perhaps one of the energies then the teachings, I mean, this is not the traditional interpretation of the Knight of Pentacles, but this is what's coming to me right now, is that there is an energy for 2026 to perhaps then be just sort of thinking about the other energies that shown up, is that stay grounded, but also stay unafraid,
Yep.
you know? Don't let fear sort of strip you of your confidence. I
I
think
think the
that's
other
what's
two
coming to
things,
me.
yeah, the other two things that came to mind with the helmet not being present and them having, the helmet off deliberately are two words. One of them is vulnerability, which I think is a
Mm,
underused strength, actually, that we as gay people can share and need to with the world. Um, and the other word is clarity, because if you have a helmet on, your sight is limited. You might be
mm,
protected, arrow or whatever it is, but you can't see the same way you can with it off. It's probably even hard to
mm,
move a person's head. Um, so with it off, there's a sight of like, what do I want to bring into the world in a physical way? Because pentacles, as we know, is not just money, but it's any physical thing. When I'm working with writers, I will say this isn't the idea for the book. This is like you could hit print and the book is now in your hand, right?
mm,
So for us gays, it's what are we bringing practically, physically into the world? And that can be ourselves and our body, and it is that. What else might it be? And how can we have the clarity of sight and the vulnerability of heart and soul to know what it is to bring to the world and bring then reflectively to ourselves as well.
mm. Yeah, I mean, that is just not how you originally interpret that card, but I think we both brought forward something really lovely there. Yeah. What is your
Yeah.
second card, Justin?
My second card is the Five of Wands.
I think that's super fitting.
Tell me more. Tell me more. I do too, but I'm curious as to because you
I
jumped
mean, I
on that.
think there's just like, because I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've been sort of idling or aiming towards this year being having opportunities about. I mean, I think that this year is going to ask us to like stand up in many ways and like take a stand, and I think sort of thinking about the energy that we are channeling with the Pope and the Hero Fund, and then how can we channel that into something which is beautiful and helpful? How can we be vulnerable in that? And yet, in the midst of that, also to some extent, like from all of that place, do we get the strength to like take a stand on the things that we believe in for our fellow travelers, basically?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And do you see that specific to maybe the gay community as well, as we would call it, and the world around us? Is there a more
Yeah.
specific message for us
No,
as
no, I
gay?
mean gay community for sure, but also the larger community at large or people at large.
I love that.
How do
Um,
you read the Five of Wands? What's your take?
yeah, I was compelled to look in. So I have a little booklet that comes with another deck of Sufi tarotism, right? Or Sufi
Mm.
tarot. Sufism is what I meant to say. And the Sufi perspective is really interesting. The contemplation that they have for the Five of Wands is how does my sense of self waver with victory or defeat?
Mm.
And I think that's interesting when we're talking about, community, but then the self within that, and the energy of which the wands are, because we know that they're fire and they represent energy, which is passion, creativity, sexuality, spirituality, all the alities, right? So the question is kind of, are these people fighting for what they want to build, what they're standing for, as you worded it? Or are they trying to work together and they're just confused because they don't really seem to have a plan? Whichever one
Mm.
way you want to look at it, I think that's our opportunity as gay men and gay people and queer folks is to maybe calm everyone, say, let's stop, let's organize. What do we want to build? So we can get to that Six of Wands, which is that beautiful card of victory.
Mm.
And we know
Mm.
that like whether it's a protest and there's literal sticks and wands being used or whatever, that we can not only survive that but overcome that to be building something better than what exists currently as we begin 2026.
Yeah, and I'm also really drawn to what you said about wavering when stuff gets tough. You know, are
Yeah.
we wavering or are we keeping on going,
Yeah.
basically? And I mean, I think that's a beautiful, if you think about it, the one's journey, right? Which is like, yeah, are we wavering just before victory arrives? And then we got to still keep on going into the seventh and then, sort of taking it towards the end there and starting again, obviously. Um, yeah, in the midst of all of that, stay strong, basically. Even when it's stuff gets tough, get going, it's like keep on going.
Yes, and even when it seems like there's no one around you and there isn't that sense of community, you stand strong no matter what.
Mm.
Uh, that will come back. That sense of, community will build again, so to speak, or you'll find those people or they will find you. And I love that you alluded to the other wands cards, and I think that's really good for anyone who's beginning in their reading of tarot or maybe hasn't never done it. A lot of times, and Tor and I have talked about this a few times, whether on screen or not, sometimes it's about what isn't present in the reading just as much as it is the cards that are. And if we look at the wand's journey from the five, it's like he said, the six is that moment of victory. The seven is a card, at least in the rider deck, the Smith rider deck, of someone on a hill defending their space. The eight is that rush of energy that comes, and the nine is a card of resilience, someone who's been through the battle, quote unquote, and is still hanging on until they get to that 10. So that's our collective call, in part with these other beautiful cards for 2026. And I find it really amazing and wonderful that we got two major arcanas, a court card, and one of the smaller minor arcana cards as well. We've got the whole kind of spectrum of the tarot's abilities within the cards, the four cards that were picked.
Mm. Precisely, exactly. Thank you so much, as always, Justin. I am conscientious, that's not the right word, so full about your time. So we're going to bring it to a close here. I hope all of you who are watching this found this useful. Justin and I will do more of this coming through the year. And if there's a specific topic or area that you would like us to pull some cards on, any guidance, perhaps to see the guidance that perhaps the tarot can bring forward, we would love to know. And of course, remember to subscribe to both of our channels. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.